Spring break brought huge crowds and chaos to the streets of Miami Beach with over 1,000 arrests, a state of emergency declaration, and a mandatory nightly curfew.
So how is that city doing as it copes with both spring break crowds and an ongoing pandemic? Let's bring in the mayor of Miami Beach, Florida, Dan Gelber. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being back. We saw those pictures, spring break time, all those scenes. Have things started to calm a little? Is that curfew working, or are people still flocking to party?
Well, the curfew is definitely working because it's hard to have crowds when in the entertainment area there's nothing going on after 8 p.m. That will end next week, as will the county curfew that up to now has been up to midnight. So after next week, which really is when spring break ends, we won't have a curfew and we'll see what happens. But it's, of course, a very precarious time as we get near the end of this and people are itching to get out and and do things that they used to do.
And Mayor, as we've said, thousands of arrests and, of course, multiple nights where law enforcement actually went ahead and used pepper balls on those large crowds in that so-called entertainment district. And there have been questions about whether that response was appropriate. Was it too strong? What do you think about the police response to those large crowds?
Well, our police are pretty well trained. It's a pretty progressive police department in terms of its tactics and training. We had, if you noticed, real issues. It wasn't just people dancing. It was rioting, violence, things that, fighting, things that you shouldn't have at any time, especially in the middle of the pandemic. So I think they really were trying to restore order, and these were last resorts. But I think we've got a control over it now, and in fact, it's been pretty calm since then. And my hope is that it'll become going forward.
You said hope, and you said earlier we'll see what happens when the curfews are no longer in place. Is there any help you could get from the state level besides just having I guess, a consistent message from everybody about wearing masks and being safe?
I wish we had a consistent message about wearing masks from the state. We don't, obviously, but we do get help from our other municipalities, from the county. We have Goodwill ambassadors handing out masks, up to 7,000 in a day, one weekend day. The state has sent us Florida Highway Patrol, and when we control the causeway traffic onto our island, we're getting help. But of course, the problem is with so many people and the volume of so many people, it's been a challenge. We think that volume will be reduced because more places are open, and what is sort of known as the spring break period ends really this weekend.
Right. And Mayor, so yes, spring break is just one event, however, on your calendar. Memorial Day weekend is around the corner. Talk a little bit about what lessons you've learned during the spring break period and how things may look different going forward.
Well, I'm going to ask my commission and the manager to consider whether we have a curfew during Memorial Day. I don't want to wait until we're in the middle of the weekend to make that decision, as it's incredibly disruptive and very difficult. We have some events really set up to sort of spread people out, like an air and sea show on the beach, which is pretty easy to watch without creating a crowd. But I am a little worried that at the end of this, people, especially young people, are going to come out in large numbers. And I'll ask the commission and the manager to consider whether we should have some curfew during that weekend, just maybe to reduce some of the evening activity and the bar activity, which I think is the most perilous.
Well, it's tough, Mr. Mayor, to be so popular right now, isn't it? But still, how are you threading that needle between your businesses that clearly have been impacted hard by this pandemic? You got huge crowds wanting to be there, wanting to spend money, but you're still trying to keep those crowds down. How are you threading that needle just right?
PJ, it's not easy. In fact, I think probably nobody is getting it right. I worry most about health and safety. The good news is, although there are still lots of infections every day in my county, over 1,000 on most days, the cohort that seems to be getting infected more than most are younger people. Of course, if they spread it in the community to those who are not vaccinated, we will have a real problem. So we'll watch the numbers very carefully. All of our decisions are informed by doctors and by science and by the metrics of this. And we urge our public, especially our visitors, because we don't want to be a super spreader, to really act responsibly. They're not listening as much as they should, and I get that, but we're just going to do the best we can. We're not threading it perfectly. We're just trying our best in what are very difficult moments.
Well, Miami Beach, Florida Mayor Dan Gelber, we appreciate you coming back on the show. We wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.